Oh man, let's do this review. So, yeah, this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 91. The comic is in the background. Welcome to the video. Alright, so guys, before we get into this video, before we get going, remember, oh, I dropped it. We've still got this giveaway for Miles Morales pop figure going on. I think I announced this giveaway in like issue 89 or issue 88 or something like that. So this is still going on, and I'm going to announce the winner in the next Ultimate Spider-Man review for issue 92. So remember, enter the giveaway, the link is in the description. Yeah, like, enter. Now, of course, getting into this video, we are reviewing Ultimate Spider-Man issue 91, and as you can see by the front cover, we've got Spider-Man, and who is actually Kitty Pryde on the front cover there with him. So it seems like we're going to be joining Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde in this issue, and it is so awesome just because it's the first time where we've got like a full issue dedicated to just spending time with Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde. Like, usually, obviously we had that annual issue one where the entire issue was with them, but this is actually an Ultimate Spider-Man issue, like it's not an annual issue one. But first, before we get into this issue, let's look at the previous issue. What happened last time? So in the previous issue, we saw that Spider-Man actually went up against the Vulture, not Adrian Toomes, but someone called... what the heck was his name? I can't actually remember his name now. Blackie Drago. So yes, it wasn't Adrian Toomes as the Vulture, it was someone called Blackie Drago who used to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. Towards the end of the issue as well, we were introduced to the Tinkerer of the Ultimate Universe and how Nick Fury went a little bit crazy and actually threatened the Tinkerer into working for S.H.I.E.L.D. technically and creating weapons for S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm actually interested in hoping we see something about that come up again in the future, especially with that Spider Slayer armor or whatever it was. That was really interesting, so we'll have to wait and find out. But as I already said, this is the issue focusing on Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man teaming up, superheroing together, and just seeing where that takes them. It's like a really long date for them, I suppose. So the majority of you guys like Kitty Pryde, so that's really awesome. You will love this issue. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into it and let's see where Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde take us throughout this issue. Let's go. Okay, so getting into the issue, and what we are opening up the pages to is Spider-Man currently in the middle of a battle with a character known as the Ringer. And of course, going off what I just said at the beginning of the video, yes, we have Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man fighting alongside each other now that they are dating each other. And you can see that Kitty Pryde has donned this brand new superhero costume. She hasn't really got a name yet, but obviously she can't call herself Kitty Pryde because everybody knows that Kitty Pryde is part of the X-Men. And so, if she's suddenly dating Spider-Man and then she's also Kitty Pryde in real life dating Peter Parker, people will figure out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And so that is why she has this new costume. Now, to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of this costume. I think she looks freaking awesome. But it kind of reminds me of like an Ant-Man sort of look, you know, like maybe the Wasp or something like that. So I'm wondering if they actually got that influence for designing her costume from Ant-Man and the Wasp or something, I don't know. But maybe you guys have some other suggestions in the comments below, maybe something that you guys have seen from another superhero and she kind of looks like them instead. Let me know. Now, one of my favourite things about this whole interaction and the fact that Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde now team up with each other is the sort of situations where Spider-Man gets stuck in these rings and of course Kitty Pryde helps him out of it and his shirt comes off, and Kitty Pryde actually likes the fact that his shirt has come off. Like, that's one of those things where obviously she's dating him, so she likes that. And it's just interesting to see that sort of back and forth humour from both characters such as Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde when they have both found these situations like this. I also really liked as well how Kitty Pryde kept referring to Spider-Man as Sweetie, like really putting it out there in front of everyone, including the villain, that these two characters are dating one another. So again, as I've already expressed a hell of a lot recently, it's good to see Ultimate Spider-Man having this relationship sort of dialogue again. It's really awesome. Now, when I was reading this issue, I actually took a step back and thought of the entire Ultimate Spider-Man series as a whole and just thought about how strange it is what Peter Parker's life has actually turned into from becoming Spider-Man. So for example, just the sort of situations he's found himself in, like he was a high school kid, he got bit by a spider, he became this superhero, and it's led to situations like him actually dating one of the X-Men, Black Cat, fighting people like Elektra and the Kingpin and Venom on a regular basis. Like, his life just got completely turned on its head, and it's all because he became Spider-Man. Like, I mean, his life is just not normal. Like, Spider-Man, who was a massive nerd in high school, is dating one of the X-Men. Like, when you take a step back and look at that as a whole and just where he's been and where he's come from, etc., that's crazy. And he just takes it all in his stride day by day. not even thinking about it. But I digress. So as you can see on screen, Peter and Kitty Pryde are saying goodbye to each other. They're giving each other a goodbye kiss. And you can just tell by the artwork and just the look on Peter Parker's face that he really does care and like Kitty Pryde. And I think one of the main things about that is that Kitty Pryde can actually protect herself. Whenever she's in danger, she can just phase through stuff. And that takes a huge weight off Peter Parker's shoulders, because when he was going out with Mary Jane, she was legitimately in danger all of the time, whereas Kitty Pryde is an X-Man. So she can just phase through stuff and not even get hurt at all. So I think that's really nice that Peter Parker has that reassurance. And not to mention, Kitty Pryde lives with the X-Men. She could not be safer. Unless you're looking at what we're seeing on screen right now, where Wolverine is literally trying to attack Kitty Pryde for no apparent reason. And this is a pretty strange thing that's going on, because obviously the X-Men are attacking Kitty Pryde. But anyway, just leaving that on screen a second, going back to what we saw Kitty Pryde doing in the plane, she was actually going through her own thoughts, talking about how she's potentially scared off Peter Parker and just being paranoid and worried about that regular relationship stuff. I absolutely love how Brian Michael Bendis writes all the relationship dialogue in these Ultimate Spider-Man comics. I can't stress it enough. It makes these Ultimate Spider-Man comics a hell of a lot more enjoyable than any other comic book series out there. Personally, for me anyway. But going back to what's happening on screen, you can see that Kitty Pryde has been completely knocked out and kidnapped and all this crazy stuff. But luckily, she managed to send out the robot plane to collect Spider-Man right before she got kidnapped. And one of the main things I love about the Ultimate Spider-Man universe is how Peter Parker is in his house and Aunt May is actually getting ready to go on a date. But also, it reminds you that other things and other characters in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe actually get on with their lives whilst we're reading about Peter Parker. Like, other people are leading their own lives whilst Spider-Man is leading his. And so I think it's really awesome not to forget something like that. Like, the characters still have their own lives to attend, and that's brilliant. But now getting back into the comics, Spider-Man has arrived at the X-Men mansion, and out of the blue he also gets electrocuted by what looks to be Kitty Pryde, until it phases out and we see that it is the one and only Merc with a mouth, Deadpool, who has entered the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and kidnapped what looks to be every single X-Men character, and now even Spider-Man as well. And we've got all these other characters behind him. Nobody knows what is going on, but I can tell you, if you remember, this issue chapter is called Deadpool Part 1. And so it's obviously going to be revolving around the Deadpool character, and it's freaking awesome. I can't wait for you guys to see the next couple of issues. It's amazing. Look out for it. I hope you enjoyed this issue, and thank you for reading. Deadpool is in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. So awesome to see Deadpool just there, and you can see his personality shine through the moment you meet him. Like, seriously, he's freaking out that they've caught Spider-Man, and just the way that he says bonus at the end, like, you can just imagine it. It's so awesome. Now, of course, this is a pretty random thing for Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde just to be hanging out and, like, solving crimes together and stuff like that, fighting crime. And then at the end of the issue, we randomly get Deadpool. So it is pretty random, but it's nice to see that that's kind of how Deadpool's personality works out. Like, he is kind of a random superhero, just kind of pops up wherever he's not really expected to. And so it's good to see him finally in these Ultimate Spider-Man comics, taking down the X-Men. And of course, what's really nice is that he wasn't actually going after Spider-Man. It just so happened that Spider-Man was there in that situation, and Deadpool caught him in the middle of it. As you notice throughout the issue, Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde hanging out. Like, Kitty Pryde calls Spider-Man sweetie while they are fighting crime together. So I feel like that is a little bit cringy, but obviously they're in a relationship and they are sort of getting to that cringy couple stage, you know, like where they're so sweet with each other, they're really loving with each other, and they're like a proper couple sort of thing. So it's nice to see that shining through into the comic, just because Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde are really enjoying each other's company. They're in a look like, oh, it's just so nice to see both of them enjoying the relationship sort of thing again. Like, obviously we haven't had it because Mary Jane and Peter Parker have been going through some rough things, so to get that side of the comics back into these issues again, seeing Peter with a girlfriend, and just so good. As for the Ringer villain, he's actually a well-known character in the Ultimate Universe, mainly because not only does Peter Parker go up against the Ringer, but when Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man, Miles also runs into the Ringer as a villain as well. Now, he was in the early Miles Morales comics, so it's nice to see the Ringer interacting with Spider-Man again. And then, of course, when we get into the Miles Morales comics, we're going to see him there again fighting with Miles Morales. So yeah, look out for him in the future. Now, I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is the fact that Kitty Pryde has created this superhero secret identity so she can fight crime with Spider-Man and then also hang out with Peter Parker at school and stuff like that without anybody getting suspicious. And that's one of the interactions that I'm really looking forward to, is Kitty and Peter hanging out outside of the superhero sort of thing. Like, it would be really nice for Peter just to be at school and Kitty Pryde sort of walk up and, like, obviously Peter will get some attention because Kitty Pryde is known as an X-Man. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to just those natural, normal sort of dates that they can go on again, especially because we haven't had it from Mary Jane and Peter in a long time. So honestly, one of the most anticipated things about these entire Ultimate Spider-Man comics is just the relationship side of things and how well Brian Michael Bendis writes these interactions. It's so good. Of course, the art style is always on point as well. I say that in every single Ultimate Spider-Man comic. So yes, of course, Mark Bagley's artwork, amazing. But going back to the front cover, one of my favourite things is the way that Spider-Man is stood and just kind of how ripped Spider-Man looks. Because what you've got to remember is that Spider-Man is a 15-year-old kid. So imagine if he was at school and he took his t-shirt off. Everybody would wonder why Peter Parker is super ripped. So just the fact that Spider-Man looks this muscular is crazy. And I really like how Kitty Pryde is stood as well, where they're both angled separately from each other, and just her costume, you get a really good look at it on the front cover of this. And of course, just like all Ultimate Spider-Man front covers, they're quite cinematic, like drawn, like they're quite computer CGI sort of thing. So it's really cool to see it like that. And of course, we have the Deadpool Part 1 subtitle at the side of the comic there. That's awesome. Like, that's one of my favorite things about the entire Ultimate Spider-Man series, is that every single saga is listed at the side, and that's just amazing. Now, that actually does stop once we get to like issue 115 or something like that. So yeah, it is quite sad that those subtitles at the side of the comic do eventually disappear as we get into the future of the comics. But for the majority of like the 100 and odd issues, we do get those there, and it's nice just to have like a name for everything. It's like a chapter, like you really feel like you're following a story for these Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and I love it. But now guys, that is the end of this review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 91. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you think of Peter Parker and Kitty Pryde's relationship and just the way they're handling it with superhero and with each other. Really awesome. Don't forget about the giveaway for Miles Morales pop figure. I will be announcing the winner in the next video for this Ultimate Spider-Man series, so enter the giveaway. The link will be in the description. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I actually update the videos and everything like that on the Instagram story, so if you ever need anything, look on my Instagram story, you'll probably see it there. Follow me on Twitter, hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye bye.